Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. A Story in GlenDronach 12, Her First Fairground by Neil Smart. The amber glow and the sound of distant revellers filled the air. She sat atop her father's shoulders to see better. This day had taken a lifetime to come, and she didn't want to miss a second. She spurred her steed on, exclaiming her joy at the ups and downs of the railroad in the sky. As the chaotic sounds grew louder, each breath brought a new smell. Candy floss, toffee apples, chocolate raisins and burnt marshmallows, all mixed with the smoke from her father's pipe. Things were moving fast now. In a blur, a huge pink mass was thrust in her hand. She could barely marvel at its sheer size before being lifted off broad shoulders and into a barrel train. It was all moving too fast. Her heart started to race. A deep breath just drew in more excitement. Her father's words as he sat next to her were lost in the clanking, juddering movement of the ride that pushed the candy floss unbidden into her face. She bit sweet air, the melting sugar increasing her heart rate further as they climbed, and clanked. Just as the feeling was almost too much to bear, a comforting embrace enveloped her. She pushed her face into her father's soft leather jacket, closing her eyes. A deep breath, and she was ready. Eyes open, holding on tight, at the very top of the world. Well, I hoped you enjoyed that story in a glass. It was from the GlenDronach 12. Unfortunately, I don't have any GlenDronach 12. What I do have is a GlenDronach Portwood, which is very nice and in typical GlenDronach style. You know, has a lot of the similar kind of smells and elements. Yeah, GlenDronach 12. The reason behind the story, it was one of these kind of real inspiring malts for me. Much like the Ardbeg 10. It told me a story. When I drank it, immediately I found myself in a fairground. You know, I could smell the candy floss, the kind of the toffee apples, all those kind of sugary, sweet, kind of caramel, toffee kind of notes were so vivid, and it really struck a chord with me because I hadn't experienced a whiskey like that until the GlenDronach 12. So it was my first sherry bomb, and man, what a way to start it, and what a first sherry bomb. It was a truly an eye opener. It really, up until that point, I hadn't really tried anything like that. Most of my tastings had been on sort of lowlands, some highlands, and some islas. I hadn't really tried any kind of sherry bomb Speysides or anything like that. And man, what a real eye opener! Like I said, it was bought for me by my friend Russell, and yeah, it was a real eye opener, door opener, game changer, whatever you want to call it. It was an inspiration, and that's why I love whiskey that can do that. So far, I mean, I've had others and I've not written stories about them yet. But so far it's been the Ardbeg and GlenDronach, and they've been the ones that have really kind of stood out for me in their, you know, whiskey areas, I suppose, if you want to say that. But I'm pretty sure I have other stories. I have other whiskies that have been kind of game changers for me, so stay tuned for them. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this one, and please check out my other one about the Ardbeg 10, A Fisherman's Tale. Anyway, cheers, slange.